This past week on Ash Wednesday, I was with the students at Northwestern University at the Shield Center, and I invited them to look upon the season of Lent as a homecoming, a word that means a lot to them, maybe the first time that they come home after going to college for the first time and seeing things different, but also the kind of homecoming that belongs to a college scene. Indeed, we see that image of coming back to where we belong in that first reading from Deuteronomy, where Moses reminds the people what their identity is, where in fact their home is with God. It is the reminder of how he saved them from slavery in Egypt and brought them into the promised land. And so today, that is how we should look upon these temptations of Jesus, as an opportunity for us to be in touch with where we belong and who we are, our identity. And so as we see Jesus tempted, after 40 days of fasting, he is hungry. And the devil says to him, "Then turn this stone into bread. You have the power to do that." But Jesus refuses, because he sees that a greater power that he has is to show how much he loves us. And he does that on the night before he dies. He doesn't take stone and turn it into bread to feed himself, but he takes bread and turns it into his body to be shared, to be broken for us. That is what he reminds us as well, that we should not organize our life about feeding ourselves or taking care only of ourselves, but rather that we should tap into that great power we have to allow our lives to be broken and shared for others, to be nourishment for others. Parents learn that so very easily as they raise their children. They put themselves aside. They allow their lives to be broken for others. And the second temptation also teaches us something about who we are, as the devil tells Jesus he has everything in his power and he will give it to Jesus only if he falls down and worships him. But that's a lie. It is not true that things have been given over to Satan. In fact, Jesus says, "Everything has been given over to me, and I have given it over to you, my disciples." And so it's an opportunity for us to be in touch with how blessed we are, how so much has come our way, how many blessings we have in life, and allow that reminder to prompt in us a sense of gratitude to the point where we are generous to one another, that we don't have to live our lives in competition for the goods of the earth, because when we share with one another, we in fact have more than enough, more than we need. Abundance is left over. That surely is the moral of the story of the feeding of the 5,000, the multiplication of the loaves and fishes, as that bread is broken and shared, and everyone has enough simply because they share. And finally, Jesus is taken to the parapet of the temple and told that if he is the Son of God, surely he can go ahead and throw himself down. He can test God to see whether or not God will save him. And Jesus reminds him that God is not one that we test, but rather he's the one in which we trust. And that, I think, also is so important for us in this season, to be in touch with the trust that we have with God that comes in our prayer. When we sit before the Lord in prayer, maybe in church before the Blessed Sacrament, or in our own homes facing a crucifix, we're reminded of how much God's love for us is to be trusted. For time and again, he has been with us. He has been with us in our own exoduses, our moments in which we have been pushed against the wall, and the Lord has been with us to rescue us in our need. Yes, the season of Lent is a homecoming. It's coming back to whom we are, our identity. It's a reminder that we have the great power to love, to allow our lives to be bread and nourishment for others. It's a reminder how blessed we are, and reminding us of that, we allow gratitude to turn into generosity. And it's a reminder as well that we are those who relate to God not by testing him every time we have a difficulty, but rather that we have an ongoing relationship, an ongoing trust with God, and in that way really discover once again who we are, those beloved by God, that Jesus comes into the world to save, that Jesus comes to remind us all of the great power that's ours, simply because God has brought us into this life to save us.